It's considering what they charge on their contract. I mean, we aren't doing this under a, it's the whole fee.
It says, and our town's responsibility are to respond to any taxpayer's requests for applications, exemptions, current use, or abatements, to help the property owners interpret assessment facts as contained on individual cards. If unsure, they should forward it to or advise the assessor of all said requests or schedule an appointment for the assessor's next visit. Well, it says it should forward or advise. And nowhere in here does it say anything about billing us for telephone support.
They made a mistake. They shouldn't bill us.
So, I know that they're going to argue this fact.
Well, you get some of the information in this letter, you might as well talk about what the letter says. If you're going to go into it.
With this one?
Yeah.
It says, Dear board members, as you may know, since 1998, telecommunication poles and conduits have been exempt from local property taxation pursuant to state statute. That statute, RSA 72:8-A, was repealed as of July 1st, 2010. And while a bill was introduced during the 2011 legislative session that would have continued the exemption, it did not pass, thereby making the property taxable of April 1st, 2011. Enclosed is a sample appraisal card depicting the assessment for the telecommunication poles and conduits in your town. This information should be entered prior to preparing your MS1 for inclusion in the 2011 property tax billing. However, it must be equalized by your 2010 equalization ratio unless you are having a town-wide update for 2011.
Which we're not.
That being said, it is our opinion that the telephone companies will likely contest the values and will undoubtedly also intensify their lobbying efforts to regain exempt status through legislation. In an attempt to maintain a more stable tax rate, in the event either of those succeed, we recommend that you add the amount to your requested overlay on page 2 of your MS4 form to equal the estimated amount of property taxes being billed to the telephone companies. Please do not hesitate to contact us should you have any questions or concerns.
And we'll start the meeting when we answer
I thought we
the phone.
decided not to affect the MS4. The MS4 has already been submitted and it did not have that done on it.
But the MS1 has been, we've got extensions until we could get this data into the MS1. As soon as the MS1 data is entered, which would be tonight, then we can go to Concord and sit down and do our tax rate. And Jeannie Sams is just waiting for us to finish this tonight, and we'll fax it in, assuming you're in agreement.
Mhm.
And
But then your MS1 and your MS4 aren't going to agree.
We'll have to adjust.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do an
but we
amendment.
can talk to Jeannie Sams there, but she
Yeah.
can't sit down with us to do the tax rate until she's got the MS1.
Right.
And what do they come up with Avatar, what they send information as to the, do they go by miles or how many poles? What do they say on the card they sent
It's
you?
right here. Here is their methodology.
Do we have for the audience?
New Hampshire, value of all telephone poles and underground conduit known to exist within the town boundaries by contact and request for inventory, and if unanswered, estimate the number of poles based on miles of road and average distance between poles. Assumptions: DOT miles of road to be accurate and include all roads. Average distance between poles, 200 feet.
Oh,
Width of right-of-way to be 10 feet. Average pole length, 40 feet. 25% assume joint ownership with the electric company. Assume 75% good, 25% owned by others equals 50% good. Whatever that means. Methodology: miles, 5,280 divided by 200 equals the number of poles. Number of poles times $900 replacement value, cross members and installation at 50% good, no underground conduit estimate. Right-of-way acres, miles times 5,280 times 10 feet wide divided by 45,560. If your town has multiple telephone companies, this value was allocated to each based on the estimated coverage of the town. Cost, $900 pole from Avatar Files based on the reported actual costs for replacement of 40-foot poles and cross members from Public Service New Hampshire and New Hampshire Electrical NHEC Cooperative. Average 40-foot pole cost $680, cross members and support $120, installation $900. Now, all that means having on.
So the electric poles, which they've already had to do the valuation on for the utilities, is the same poles that they're using for the telephone poles, which means now they're charging us $1,500 for those same poles.
And they're,
Not all our telephone poles follow our roadways here.
well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, they're assessing a value for airspace between poles.
No, they're just getting a pole count.
Yeah, they're estimating how many poles there are by saying 200 feet per pole.
Which is very, very short in a pole to pole. They can go up to 350 feet.
I understand that, but they're saying we're estimating 200 feet.
Yeah.
If you're not going to give me the inventory, we're going to use our figures of 200 feet. So if we have a mile of poles, divide that by 200, that gives you the amount of poles that you have.
And you can't really use the town's road mileage.
That's right.
Because guess what? A lot of our roads are state highways. But they're still our poles.
And a lot of the poles don't follow the roads,
Right?
like the ones that go up on the backside of Garney. There's some that come down Lightford don't go through don't follow the roads.
Yeah.
Your poles probably don't.
I guess I'm a little confused. We got with the numbers, we got $1,500 to Avatar for changing the numbers.
Yeah.
And we have to,
That's an, yeah, okay.
No, to give us the number. She changed it.
okay, and we're having a change to the property value in the town of Brookfield.
That is
for the
correct.
poles.
Right.
Do we know what that number is?
We will once those numbers go in.
Okay,
Gross dollar
so,
figure.
but that's the number we might get back. That's the amount we might get back, because that's
That's what the right. company's gonna argue for.
right.
Okay, the gross value is $659,300.
We're not going to get that from them.
No, no,
However,
that's the
times
assessed
our tax
value.
rate of
That's the assessed
1420.
value of
Yeah.
the poles.
you can
Divided by
figure-
1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you're talking
Divided
$3,000.
by
But the point is, we do have the amount, we're gonna make certainly more than the 1,500.
So we're gonna.
It's not the point.
We're gonna build New England Telephone, $3,000. They're gonna fight it, and maybe
Right.
we'll get it back, maybe we won't.
That's it.
Well, no, maybe they'll pay it, maybe they won't.
That's right.
They haven't given us the money,
Yeah, I
so
agree
we have
with that.
nothing to get back
They
from
won't
them.
pay- They won't pay.
So Avatar was telling him that maybe we'll get that $1,500 back if we pay it.
Not the 15.
No,
If they change
she
the
said
law.
it was required that we pay it.
The 3,000.
I don't,
Well, I don't know.
I disagree. I think our contract covers it.
Required to pay what, the
The
1,500?
1,500,
Yeah,
yes.
to Avatar.
So, it's
Well, I
your
mean-
turn, it's your turn.
Why are we required to pay, 1,500 isn't, it's the same number for every town, or is that based on how big your town is?
I would anticipate that it's based on the estimated amount of poles.
I would table the check and do some research.
And
Yes.
so I'm guessing that they're requiring us to pay to do some work to do this, and that's understandable, I don't mind that.
Okay, but we've spent enough time on this, so.
No.
Which one of you two wants to talk to Avatar? I've talked to him.
No, I'm not talking, I won't talk.
Jessica's talked to him.
The next call goes to the town attorney because now we're dealing with a contract issue. Right in here, it says our utility valuations are covered.
Okay. in
As
that
part
case,
of our
we will
contracts.
tell our treasurer not to pay the 1,500.
Correct.
Or the amount for the phone call
At this point.
at this
Got
point.
That's correct. And we're willing, we may need to, and that's fine. I'd rather give
But I
the
think
attorney
it's a
$100
contract
to-
issue.
Either way,
Your turn.
if that telephone pole was assessed at $100 last year for the electric company, is now being split between the electric company and the telephone company.
No.
Brookfield's you're gonna charge them more for the same pole?
The electric company is only charged for the percentage of the pole that they are responsible for.
Oh, you're not charging them a full amount?
No, they separate it like telecommunications people are responsible for 50% of that pole.
Okay.
The electric company is responsible for 25%, and others, whatever they may be,
What does
like
Time Warner do?
telephone, that would be cable and that kind of stuff. They're responsible for the other 25%.
Thank you.
I will find out what, if anything, Time Warner pays to this whole process.
Okay.
That'll be what my homework will be, what does Time Warner?
I'll
pay?
send an email to our town attorney asking these questions.
Facts of the contract. She's gonna need that contract in front of her.
Got it.
Okay, back to banks.
Yeah.
I hate price gougers.
Okay, can't be that bad. So, here's one for each of you, and Jessica, I'll give you a
We're gonna hold
separate
off
one.
until we,
We are gonna hold off on a decision. I'm just gonna explain to you quickly the difference between what Meredith Village Savings
You can have mine when we're done.
Bank is offering and what Profile Bank is offering. They're the two that have submitted viable proposals at this point. So for Meredith Village Savings, they're presenting us with two different types of account options. We currently have with TD Bank what's called a sweep account,
Yep.
where we have a small checking account we have a checking account with a small amount of money in it, and then they have a third party go through every night and sweep money out of it into a savings account for us. So Meredith Village Savings is offering a checking and savings combination where I would go in once a week and sweep money out of the account, or to have the type of sweep account that we currently have with TD Bank. Basically, I need to get back to Profile and see. It sounds to me like they're offering the type of account where I would do the sweeping on a weekly basis, but I need to verify that with her. For either of them, there are no service fees. The only exception to that is we currently receive a wire transfer from the trustee of the trust funds when he transfers money to us at the end of the year. And I talked to Tom Gear about it, and we're gonna see if there isn't another way to do that, because that is a bank's most expensive way to deal with money. So for Meredith Village Savings, they would charge $10 if it's an incoming wire, and $25 for an outgoing wire, but we do not do outgoing wires, so that wouldn't be an issue.
yeah. And trust funds
And-
used to just cut checks.
Yeah, and I don't see why they couldn't cut checks. That would be the easiest thing. And then, actually, this was not mentioned by Profile, so I need to make sure she picked up on that, but we'll probably do checks. Interest to be paid, both are willing to pay us interest on the savings accounts. As far as Meredith Village Savings, if we do the regular kind of savings account where I sweep the money, it would be 0.30%, and on a sweep account, it would be 0.20. We're currently getting 0.16. So it's a little higher. With Profile, it would be 1%, which is pretty incredible.
Over anything over
$50,000,
$50,000.
yes. Both will do collateralization of funds. As you know, banks can only, the FDIC will only insure currently up to $250,000. So currently with TD Bank, we have an irrevocable letter of credit, which I receive quarterly, and I just got this quarter's from them, if you want to see it. And that insures whatever we have above the FDIC limit.
Okay, just for the audience, the irrevocable letter of credit, it's not like a credit card or a loan for the town. That is money that we already own and is in a savings account in a third-party facility.
Right. And what they're doing is it's currently, both of them would guarantee it through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, both at no charge to us, which is the arrangement we currently have with TD. They don't charge us for it. And what it does is it guarantees that all of our deposits And I think Meredith was 100 and